Ladies and gentlemen, this is a new era in the Huddle. WYGL Podcast. The Real Leel Show. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a slightly different approach this time around to address everything that's going on in the world. A couple days ago, an African American man named George Floyd was brutally murdered by the knees of a white police officer. Literally, by the knees. It was shown in the video that Floyd said, "I can't breathe." The same last words said by Eric Gardner, who was killed by police officers due to an illegal chokehold back in 2017. This sparked a national uproar as people began to protest and start rioting, demanding justice. Back in 2016, Colin Kaepernick took a huge gamble when he decided to put his career on the line by kneeling during the national anthem. Fast forward to this present day, and you'll know that this is why.
Time for In the Huddle, but it is a different type of vibe of In the Huddle today. Normally, you have the happy, excited, joking around type of vibes from In the Huddle, but there's some very serious things going on right now, very pressing issues that In the Huddle needs to get into. Obviously, we always bring a sports aspect into it because this is a sports show, but I'm going to welcome in the crew before we get into it. The Real Leel. I am Kenny C. Rob Meyer and Cam are in the house today to join the In the Huddle crew. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Everything is going good. Despite everything that's going on in the world, I have a lot of emotions. I'm hyped, obviously, to get on the show because this is what I love doing. But at the same time, it's all about me being able to maintain my emotions and just be articulate during this time.
Oh man, what can I say? It's June 1st, 2020, and it's already more chaos going on in this world. So pretty amped up to talk about what's going on. So hey, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Yeah, man. I mean, you said June 1st, man. We're not even halfway through 2020, man. 2020 has been a rough year so far. I hope it turns around at some point, but
yeah,
I'm not hopeful. I'm not hopeful.
Gentlemen? I will say this. Hopefully, by the time 2021 comes around, we can all reflect on the terrible year we had and be able to grow as a nation at some point. But let's get into this, man.
All right, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first topic here of discussion is the murder of George Floyd, who was brutally murdered when a cop knelt on his neck for about 7 minutes. And obviously, this was a graphic video. Me personally, my initial reactions was, in the beginning, I didn't want to watch the video. A lot of times when it comes to stuff like this, people being brutally murdered on social media, you see it on social media, I try to scroll past it fast. I try to block it. But for this instance, it was shown over and over and over again. And unfortunately, I got to see it. And it just shows that we are not improving as a country as we think we are. A lot of people say slavery ended 400 years ago and Jim Crow ended 400 years ago. The same issues in 2020 that we are fighting about, that we are worried about, that we are complaining about, that we are looting about, that we are rioting about, is the same issues that were going on in the 1900s. So I think we have to do better as a society. And I will let y'all get right into it.
Yeah, I mean, you made it pretty clear cut, man. I mean, it was obviously a cold murder. If you can't see that, I don't know where the hell your thought process is at, because there's 3 other cops, mind you, right there that did not do anything, and they must be held accountable.
They were involved. They were involved.
Exactly. Three were involved, and like I was gonna say before, because we had some connection issues, but when I was watching today on CNN, the memorial where they had a very passionate speech from George Floyd's brother and the reverend that was there to speak, and the reverend had everyone put 3 fingers up, 3 more. There needs to be 3 more held accountable for this heinous crime, this disgusting act by a police officer that makes every single police officer look bad, because you're the bad apple on the tree and you want to do something disgusting like that. I don't know what the hell's going through that man's head, but he definitely, I'm glad he got charged, and they need to charge the other three. This is disgusting, man.
Well, what I gotta say is this, man. The police in this country, from the conception of the police when they first were created, was literally as a runaway slave patrol is when the police were founded. So the police founded 100, 150 years ago have been around to keep the social order the way that the people who are in charge want it to be. The police have been, you look at every protest in the civil rights movement, the police were there, and Martin Luther King preached peaceful protest every single time throughout protests, and the police were there to instigate every time there was a peaceful protest. So my thoughts on this are, George Floyd allegedly used a counterfeit $20 bill, and he was murdered in broad daylight by police. That's what he did. And there are mass shooters who will kill 20 people in a school and be walked to the car, and they'll live the rest
McDonald's. Get a nice Happy Meal on top of that.
They will walk to McDonald's. There's a serious issue there, and it's not every cop that does these things, but the cops that try and shield the blame or deflect blame from the cops around them that are doing these deeds are as big of a problem as the ones who are committing them. What needs to happen is there needs to be a complete overhaul of the police system in this country. The police officers do 8 weeks of training. Like, they don't, and their training is not sufficient for them to truly serve and protect people in this country. So for me, the police are a much bigger part of this problem than it seems, and accountability is one of the biggest parts of it, because they are, like, when somebody's murdered like that in broad daylight, and he went home, the officer that killed him, that suffocated George Floyd, went home to his house that night. That's unacceptable. There's nobody to hold them accountable.
He could have literally got baptized that night and converted to a whole different religion. That's how much time he had. But go ahead, Cam. I want to hear your thoughts.
Man, first and foremost, just want to say rest in peace to George Floyd. It's very unfortunate that, he got killed in broad daylight by a Minneapolis police officer. To be honest with you guys, these issues have been going on for years, if not years, decades, centuries. You get what I mean? And what we lack tremendously in this country is accountability. You get what I mean? If a bad guy does something wrong, he gets locked up and, he has to serve his time. But when a cop does something wrong, it's like, okay, he's on paid leave and he's able to go home to his family with no problem. You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think what the officer and those 3 other officers did, they need to be arrested. They need to take accountability for their actions and, serve their time.
And what's disgusting me about everything is they still haven't came out and charged these 3 other gentlemen.
Right.
You can't even really call them gentlemen. Like,
no, they're not gentlemen. 3
other men. That's all I'm gonna say.
More like Satan's concubines or whatever. Yo, listen, seriously, man,
bro. The city of Minneapolis, I don't know what the hell. If they haven't seen the news of everyone protesting, like, it's taking you this long.
The reason
these 3 men.
The reason the first officer was even arrested is because of the protesting. If they weren't out there protesting, he'd still be in his house right now. They would not have arrested him.
Eating food. This is dinner time. These are dinner hours we're recording.
Yeah.
We're watching, sports talk radio, watching In the Huddle. You know what I'm saying? So listen, my thing here is, I have another thing to say. My thing is, honestly, I do feel sorry for those bad apples, I mean those good apples that are cops that are, like I said, serving and actually doing what they have to do, because right now their reputation is not looking good. You know what I'm
Not at
saying?
all.
And I think to a certain degree, some deserve to be in that mix simply because they don't say nothing. So if you're not saying nothing when another black kid gets shot by one of those bad apples, then you become in that mix, and you can't blame society. You can't blame this, that, or all, because you didn't say nothing. You didn't say, all right, this guy right here, he's racist. You didn't put him out on the pedestal. So now you got to take the fall, even if you had nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I do feel sorry for those cops that are good cops. You know what I'm saying? Because I know a lot of good cops. My friend that lived down the block, he's a cop. But at the same time, you do have to speak out, because you're going to be thrown in that category. This
Right.
situation that we in, or a team, is a team category. You're either on one side or you're not. You can't be on the bench saying, yeah, brother, I'm going to sit this one out. I'm not racist. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like, no, you are the racist, you are the part of the problem, or you fighting against the problem.
Definitely. Definitely.
Amen to that, man. And to speak about Leel, because I know you're in Brooklyn, man. You told me, you're not like near all the crazy looting that's gone on, but that's a whole nother thing, man. Like, the violence and the looting, and even George Floyd's brother came out, man. That was a powerful speech, and he said, "Stop the violence." Like, this is not what we want. We want
And I was
peaceful protest.
and I was watching that protest, and I remember you was texting me throughout. And first of all, I want to give you credit, Kenny C, and I honestly applaud that you texted me and said, "Listen, do you want to use this platform as an opportunity to talk about this?" We could have went off and did something else, talk about everything else that's going on in the sports world outside of this, but you texted me and said that, listen, we could use this platform to talk about this, and that's a step. Using our platforms to bring these situations to light. I watched his brother speak and that whole thing on CNN. I watched that with my mother, and it's crazy. How ironic! I watched the whole Trayvon Martin trial case that was on CNN with my mother. So it seems like I'm almost at like, I feel like privilege almost, that I'm not in that situation, and I can actually watch it from home, which is a shame. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to feel privileged in that situation. But I feel almost privileged to be able to be at home watching it and not have to be in it.
Definitely. Definitely.
And in regards to these protests, right? I mean,
Definitely.
these protests have all started peacefully. Be very clear here. These protests have started peacefully. Now, there is looting that's going on, and what I'll say about the looting is if you're there are people that are talking more about the looting than they're talking about the murder of George Floyd, the killing
And that's
of George
exactly
Floyd,
what
the
the Floyd
murder of
family
George Floyd.
said.
So if you are more worried about buildings and goods that can be replaced in literally a day, more than a
Especially if you have
man's life,
insurance.
yeah, like $1 billion, like Target was the first thing that got looted.
Yeah.
You can replace a Target
you know
in
what
2
it is?
days. One day
You know what
it'll
it
be
is,
fixed
too?
in a day.
It's if these rioters are destroying the small businesses, the mom and pop type of places that those people in the communities work their blood, sweat, and tears to create, that's the
Right.
type of stuff that takes the hit, because you don't get a second shot from that. Like, sure, you can have some type of insurance money, but you built that thing from your blood, sweat, and tears. And I agree with you, Rob. The big Macy's store can afford to take the hit because they're a multi-million-dollar, probably almost billion-dollar company. So I
Right.
agree with
Yeah.
you.
I mean,
And
it leaves me in a crossroads with that. Like, I'm very torn on how I feel about these lootings and protesters, because I feel like, yeah, it's sad to say, I see videos of guys having to literally put their life on the line to say, no, don't crash my business, don't lose my business, and getting hit. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to protect what they have, with basically is their life. They put their
Right.
Yeah.
life savings into it. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't. It makes me feel sad that has to happen. But at the same time, a part of me is like, all right, we did the peaceful protesting. It didn't work. Martin Luther King, it didn't work. We here now. So for those people that's saying, all right, this is not the way, then what are the way? What is the way? Can somebody please tell me
uh,
and DM me and send me a text or send me something and say, all right, Lil, this is the way that we
Well,
can go forward to make
I
this
will
change.
say this, Leel. I will say this because I know me and you were both watching, and George Floyd, his brother, he did say, one way that they could go about it, which by the way, we'll say still has its corruptions in it, but the voting process, you could go out there and get your vote, not just for the president, but in the preliminaries, and actually try to make your voice heard.
Well, I gotta say something.
Which I know has its difficulties in itself.
Because if you
I
look if you look at our presidential choices here, we got Joe Biden, who's written crime bills his whole life.
I would say this, Rob, and I'm gonna let you go real quick. I'm gonna just throw this in there.
Yeah, throw it in there, man.
I think what Kenny C more means, and why I agree with Kenny C is because I'm talking more on the local level. Voting for your council, your town council, that affects you more individually than a presidential election. You know what I'm saying? Because yes, everything affects you, but locally, I do think we need to take initiative in voting for these town councils, because I'm guilty. I don't vote for these people. You know what I'm saying? I overlook them. So I feel like a lot of people do too.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Rob.
I can see that. And I mean, Kim, if you want to hop in, go ahead, man.
No, I'm be honest with you guys. When these future politicians run, are they actually meaning what they say that they're going to do for their community, for the people? No. Feel me? Like, you guys got to really keep that into perspective. They could say all that good stuff, but when push comes to shove, actions speak louder than words.
And listen, I will throw this in here too. I'm in no position to say anything about what the African American community should do, because I can't speak on it, because I don't my feet aren't in your guys' shoes, you Leel, you and Cam, so I can't speak like that, but I'm just going off of what George Floyd's brother said, that actually moved me. Like, he's trying to make some sort of change happen, and like, he just wants people to wake up and the world to wake the hell up, man, and realize that there's racism alive and well, and it's been like that for more than 200, 300, 400 years, man.
Years.
So, the country's built on racism, and it's in the roots and the core of the country. And I take a look at Martin Luther King for a second. Martin Luther King he preached about peaceful protest, and he was a peaceful protester through and through. There's no debating that. And he was hated by the public. He was hated by the public.
Did you see the poll? He was hated way more than he was loved.
75% of people disapproved, hated him when he was doing his damnness to help people get some damn rights. Mm-hmm. And a quote from Martin Luther King himself is, "A riot is the language of the unheard." He did not practice any type of violent rioting himself, and he did not lead anything like that. But the reason you see riots at all, the reason you see any, and again, the majority of these protests are starting peacefully.
Right.
But when you get violent pushback from police, you have police beating people back. I've seen some
people in cars,
running people over with their vehicles. It's brutal, and the people in these protests don't have weapons. They're marching. They're there for what they believe in. They don't have weapons or anything. The police are using force against people standing up for what they believe in right now, and it's not okay. I will say this as well, to add to that. I 100% agree with what you just said, and I have definitely seen some videos that disgusted me by the NYPD, and the car running someone over, the door flying open, hitting people, like that's kicking
totally
people,
in the
they're
wrong.
kicking people,
pepper
spraying people.
It's also in the wrong too, and this wasn't from the peaceful protesters. This is from the rioters and whatnot. The NYPD, they're out there as well to try to maintain that stuff doesn't get out of hand. And then when stuff does go haywire, I saw multiple pictures of cops with destroyed faces from glass bottles being thrown at them. 4 officers had to flee a van from a Molotov cocktail coming into the van and blowing it up. So I will say there is violence on both sides.
I also do think that there are, from what I heard, there are actually infiltrators that actually start these riots that are paid white supremacists to start war.
Yes.
Because those are what it is, race
Oh
war.
yeah, that's
You know what I'm saying?
Antifa,
So they go there,
right?
and they go there and they
No,
start
no,
and they
no, no,
and
no,
they
no,
Isn't
no.
it
Not
Antifa?
Antifa. No, not Antifa. Not
Not
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa is not an organization. Antifa literally means you are against fascism. It is
Okay.
not white supremacy, and it's exact opposite. Just I have
Then
to
I
make that
was
perfectly clear. I have
I
to
was
make
just
that
in
perfectly
confusion
clear.
there.
I have to make that perfectly clear.
Thank you for that, Rob.
Okay, I am Antifa. That's like I stand against fascism. That's what Hitler was. Like that's what that is. So that's not the same thing. Just want to be clear.
But there is a quote that, I happen to really like by Martin Luther King. And, the words, they weigh pretty heavy. And the quote is, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Hate multiplies hate. Violence multiplies violence. And toughness multiplies toughness in a descending spiral of destruction. The chain reaction of evil, hate begetting hate, wars producing more wars must be broken, or we shall be plunged into the dark abyss of annihilation. And that quote to me, those words weigh very heavy because, while the protesters are great because, they're out there. I just saw before I was talking to Leel, Bed-Stuy, there's like 1,000 plus people out there protesting. We saw Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics out there leading charges, protesting, using his platform, which is what we need more of, the athletes to come out and be, if you're going to talk about the issue like me and Leel said with Kaepernick, be on the front lines and be about it. But, with the violence, I just feel like it'll just be a downward spiral, and people will die in the coming days, man.
I do want to shout out.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Trevor Lawrence, and first of all, I want to shout out a lot of people, but
Joe
right
Burrow,
now,
baby.
I want to
Joe
focus
Burrow.
on Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. Everybody knows that watching me that Trevor Lawrence is my guy. You know what I'm saying? That's my dude. And I like to see these young college football players or about to be NFL players in Joe Burrow that have a following. These guys are in the SEC. All right? It's Clemson, LSU. We all know about the demographics down there. Down there tend to be a lot of one-sided people, and they have that influence. They have that following. So to say,
Exactly.
Trevor Lawrence, there has to be a shift in the way of thinking. Rational must outweigh irrational. Justice must outweigh injustice. Love must outweigh hate. To see a guy like Trevor Lawrence, with that following, to sit there and give his thoughts like that, to be honest with you, I applaud him for, because these are the young people. These are the guys that's going to carry society when these older people leave. So I'm glad to see him and Joe Burrow speaking out.
And you know what it is, Lil? Like me and you were texting before too. The overall bigger issue is obviously with the systemic racism. So, this isn't about, black versus white versus black, the blue line versus the black, which obviously that has a thing to do with it because police brutality, a lot of that is racism. But overall, it's everybody versus racism. Getting the racists out of the equation is what needs to happen. And that's easier said than done. But, we all just have to stand up, man. Like, when is enough enough?
Yeah.
When is it enough? Like, really?
Yeah. I don't want to go back to a point real quick, jump in. I know, Kenny, you were talking about how there's that line between the peaceful protest and the rioting. And I will say the riots, that first night, they went through that, they tore down that Target basically, and they burned down the precinct, and then they arrested the officer who knelt on George Floyd's neck. So they want to say, or they'll say on the news, these violent protesters, this doesn't work, it doesn't work, and then that's what led to his arrest. That's what got the attention. So I'm not saying for people to go out and be violent, but I'm saying, like, you need to get the attention of somebody for you to get justice here.
You know what? It's just like, to me, it's crazy because it's like, because of that scumbag waste of life that killed George Floyd, he is making every single state police, every police force in other states pay the price, and to me, it's like, obviously, yes. The bad cops, you need to be held fully accountable. Eric Gardner in Staten Island should have been held fully accountable.
Right.
And, I just feel like the violence, man, like, yes, I agree with you, Rob. obviously it was heard because then they arrested him the next day.
Yeah, it was heard. So
But
I mean,
it's just like, oh man, like why does it have to get to that? Why can't people wake
well,
up, man?
well,
That's
the
because
reason,
that's how America is.
the
Honestly,
reason it
that's
gets
just
to
how
that,
America is.
that's how the system is built. That's the reason it gets
Like
to this point.
It literally pains me, man. It
as
pains me deep.
as an African American, we are tired, bro. Like honestly, we are tired. We go through stuff all the time, and nobody from any other race could put themselves in a black man's shoes. They could try to understand, like how we are trying to understand, right? Or the people that's gonna watch is gonna try to understand. But you don't know. Nobody knows what it is to be black in America. We go through so much paranoia. I know I do.
I
Anytime
do
I see a
too.
cop, my first initial reaction, and it's honestly sad to say, but it's the harsh reality, is all right, I got to make sure my hands out my pockets and I'm saying the right things because I don't know if I'm going to go home. You know what I'm saying? And I have
Right.
been stopped by the cops before, and I didn't do nothing. I had got stopped by the cops in a driving school car. In a driving school car that said driving school on top of the car. And they searched the car. Like we stole the driving school car. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, because we go through something based on how you raised in life from any side is going to dictate how you see life. If you're going through stuff, if there's a system in place for you not to succeed, you're going to see life far different from somebody that has privilege, somebody
Right.
that can wake up every day and not have to worry about the stuff that the other people have to worry about. You're going to see life in two different ways.
Absolutely. And I have two things to add to that. Freshman, and I was on my way to the barbershop with my brother. Then there's just two police cars that just came out of nowhere, legit came out of nowhere, came directly at us. So I'm just thinking, okay, they're probably, I'm thinking they're probably going to go look for somebody. They're like, oh, where did you guys came from? So mind you, now we're showing the officers exactly where we came from. He's like, nah, we heard that you guys were jumping gates. I'm like, no, sir, we came from that house. This is exactly where we came from. I guarantee you this: if it wasn't for my pops to come out and to defend for us, ah, a likely chance, like
It's
I would have
the
been
it's
in deep water right now as we speak.
That's crazy, man.
And I'm pretty sure, honestly, and what I'm saying, I'm gonna let you go, Rob. I'm pretty sure. Honestly, I have good stories to tell about cops as well. But the reality is, not a lot of black people don't. And I'm pretty sure you can take 20 random people, 20 random black African Americans around my age or a little bit older, or like in their 40s, put them in a room and say, tell me a bad instance of an encounter with you and a cop. And at least half of them, if not half, maybe a
uh,
good
all of
70,
them
80%
probably,
of them
all of
will
them
be able to
probably.
tell you a story, if
Yeah,
not all.
I just want to say, there's a lot of shit going around. Uh, Anybody that says the phrase "all lives matter" to me, I just want to make it very clear. It's the last thing I'm going to say on this, then we can move on to the next topic. But all lives don't matter until Black lives matter. That's it. So
Exactly.
until
I do
until
agree.
until Black lives are treated the same as everybody else's life, you can't say that and have it be anywhere close to true. So
thank you.
that's all I got.
Appreciate you,
Exactly.
Rob.
And
Yeah.
Appreciate you,
and
Rob.
Amen.
and we might as well move on to the next
Rob,
topic,
Rob,
which
Rob
is
nailed it off with a
Uh,
perfect conclusion.
preach,
yes, sir.
preach.
Well, the NFL released a statement on George Floyd's murder, and honestly, man, the NFL just needs to stop being phony. The NFL has tested positive, ladies and gentlemen, in this COVID-19 time for being a complete asshole of an organization to literally come out
Yeah.
with a statement like
Yeah.
that. The statement. I don't know if y'all have the statement in y'all
I
notes.
have it. I have
I
it. Yeah.
I
Can you
didn't
read
I
it for me?
didn't I didn't read the statement.
So I got
I
it,
think I
Nah.
read it once, but
and I
like
will
What
say,
is it?
Kenny Stills, the wide receiver, came out and said flat out, "This is bullshit," and that's exactly how I feel. And here it is.
clearly it
Here it
is.
is for you guys. The NFL family is greatly saddened by the tragic events across our country. Protesters' reactions to these innocent incidents reflect the pain, anger, and frustration that so many of us feel. Our deepest condolences go out to the family of Mr. George Floyd and those who have lost loved ones, including the families of Miss Breonna Taylor and Leel and Mr. Ahmaud Arbery, the cousin of Tracy Walker, the Detroit Lions. And they goes on, but I'll sum up the part where it begins to be bullshit. And that's where we recognize the power of our platform in communities and as part of the fabric of American society. We embrace the responsibility and are committed to continuing the important work to address these systemic issues together with our players, clubs, and partners. Then why the hell was Colin Kaepernick blackballed?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm about
Why
to say
was
that
Colin
right
Bro,
now.
Kaepernick
Why
blackballed
isn't
out of the league?
Kaepernick in the league?
It's,
Somebody's team right now. Starting as the what happened? All he did was took a knee. He didn't cause no distractions. All he did, he fought for what was right. But no,
the NFL
too
is
much. That's
is showing why they are the most phoniest league ever.
clown league.
Honestly, the NFL had a chance back in 2016. Let's go down memory lane, ladies and gentlemen. The flights is cheap right now during COVID-19. You can go to Las Vegas for $12. Let's go. Let's take a trip back to memory lane in 2016.
For
Colin
free.
Kaepernick took the lead for free. Exactly, for free. The free trip here, all aboard. Right? Let's take a trip to 2016 when Colin Kaepernick took that knee. The NFL had a chance to be the savior of the issues going on when Colin
right.
Kaepernick took the lead.
They could have
Right?
taken a stand. Yeah.
They could have taken a stand and be looked at as a hero and say, all right, look, somebody protest, took a knee during the national anthem, and he clearly stated why he did. Everybody try to twist a narrative. I hate when I say the sky is blue and somebody say, why you think the sky is red? Like, Negro, did I say the sky was red or did I say the daggone sky was blue? All right, and that's exactly what Colin Kaepernick did. He said, listen, I'm protesting because of police injustice in the world. Oh, you're trying to disrespect the flag there, buddy. He didn't say that. NFL had an opportunity to get it right, but they blackballed him. And even Joe Lockhart said that. He was an ex-NFL exec that said, listen, they didn't want to deal with the pressure of their businesses being harmed because in America, they don't care if you're black and what you go through. They care about the profit. You're making their money. So why do we, other people, just like not paying attention to it? You think NWA said F the police just because they want to be an asshole? They woke up one day and be like, oh, let's say F the police. You think that, other people come out with albums, Kendrick Lamar, Joey Badass, and rap about these things? Do you think we just one day be like, all right, we just want to be an asshole? Do you think Colin Kaepernick said, you know what, let me just knee because I want to be an asshole because I'm making all this money and I just want to be an asshole. I'm making all this money. Do you think guys that's wearing shirts that say I can't breathe just wake up one day and just be like, I want to be an asshole? No, there's a reason why this is transpiring because we're on the same boat that we was back in the day when we got off the boat, when they took us on the boat and brought us to America. We on that same boat.
Thank you.
Amen, man. I mean, this man just killed it. He summed it up completely facts, man. Like, how do you blackball a man out of the league for this very issue of police brutality and then come out with a statement like that? You could have just paid respects to the Floyd family, but you didn't. But you went on and you said that bullshit at the end of the quote. Yet you literally blackballed the man that was at the forefront of the issue. So it's just, to me, that's disgusting.
I really confused why they even put out a statement. Like, nobody believes a word they say on any issue.
Nobody asked for it. Why?
No,
Nobody asked for it.
We know they don't give a damn. We know, like, you're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling anybody.
And you know what? To add to this pedestal of athletes trying to have their voice heard, I wanted to share a quote from Richard Sherman the other day that I thought was very powerful and bringing to light. He said, I'm impressed with the white quarterbacks speaking up because those are the voices that carry different weight than the black voices for some people, which means the people who refuse to listen to a black athlete's perspective will hear the same thing said from a white athlete, but receive the message much differently. So it's awesome that more people are speaking out because in sports, you really have a love and appreciation for your fellow man, regardless of race. And that,
Yeah,
to me,
I
man,
100% agree.
I thought that was just eye-opening.
I agree.
I
I
mean,
100% agree.
And the black athletes that speak up about these things, they're the ones that always speak up because they've lived it. They've grown up with it. They've dealt with the injustices, the prejudice their entire life.
Right, exactly.
So when a white quarterback, somebody who's grown up with privilege, somebody who's grown up with that privilege, has that stage, says, I recognize the injustice as well. I'm going to speak up about it. That's helpful. It's helpful to be an ally and to work to
And
better
you know what?
the situation.
You know what? It's a damn shame that someone has to really look at that and say, "Oh, damn, this guy's white. Maybe let me listen." Like,
Yeah, like
are
it
you
shouldn't be
serious?
that way. It shouldn't be
That's a
that way.
damn
But
shame. That's a shame.
Right.
And I agree. You know, we saw like Carson Wentz and like you guys were saying with Trevor Lawrence and Burrow, and they're coming out, and it's like that's amazing. Like that's awesome that they're there supporting, and it's a damn shame that it takes someone of another race and of another color to come out and say something, and then for people to be like, "Oh, damn! Like look what they're saying," but yet you don't take it as truth from the people that are actually going through it.
right.
The black athletes that are speaking out. You don't listen to them. Like,
And it's so easy to enjoy black culture, right? Obviously, we all as human beings bring something to the table, right? But it's so easy to enjoy hip hop, right? And say, oh, I'm gonna listen to this album to bump, all these guys that we listened to over the years. If I even begin to list names, I'm gonna be tight because I'm gonna forget somebody. I mean, we all know hip hop has brought us great men. All right, I don't gotta start because I will be here for another 2 hours listing names till this day. But we all know the appreciation we have for hip hop, for sports, for these athletes, our favorite plays, our favorite MCs. But are we really listening to the message, or are we just watching them because oh yeah they sound good and the lyrics? Are we really hearing when somebody's speaking political about what they go through, or we just oh yeah he rap good? Are we really watching these guys protest like CP3 and LeBron James wearing these shirts and what LeBron James had to say, or we just watching him because he knows how to dunk? You know what I'm saying? So these guys are bringing you messages, and that's why I think it's important for Carson Wentz and these other guys that are white and from other races to be like, all right, listen, I take the baton here because these people, they don't understand you. They take from your culture, they love your culture, but they don't want to, be there and stand up with you and fight and march with you when these things happen. So I'm gonna sit
Right.
here and I'm gonna take the baton and I'm gonna talk to my people and say, listen, yeah, I'm a white American. I don't go through what black people go through. But this is a problem, and we need to address it. So I commend Carson Wentz, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, and whoever the list goes on.
Yeah.
I agree, man.
And
Ken,
then another.
you have any
Oh yeah,
remarks?
Cam.
I mean that's it, man. I just feel like we all need to come together. Bullshitting people, make it seem as if they it's time for owners. Yes, I'm using the owners to start considering these black athletes, like listen to what they have to say and support through the tough. You get what I mean? You making money off them anyways, so support them.
Exactly.
Why not support them through
Mm-hmm.
Exactly,
shit.
and that's what Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick was like, listen, first of all, there's a lot of individuals, regular individuals. Yeah, I refer to myself as the real Leel, but until a bigger pedestal, I'm nobody. Okay, I'm just the real Leel in my little circle with my 140 YouTube followers that I have. Okay, that's exactly who I'm the real Leel too. But I'm nobody in the world, right? And there's a lot of guys that are nobodies in the world that cannot get a message across to a bigger platform, right? And that's what we go through. So Colin Kaepernick was one of those athletes that risked his career to say, look, I'm talking for my people. I'm bringing this incidents that's going on with police brutality. I'm bringing it to the forefront, and I'm risking my job at it. But I'm going to take that risk because I have a platform that I can reach the mass people. So, for the NFL to try to just put out this phony statement, I had to check to see if this was April 1st. All right, because I'm like, what the hell was that? All right, who are you fooling?
They put their clown makeup on before they tweeted it for sure. They had painted on the red
Think
nose,
about
everything,
it.
and that's the person that tweeted it out. It's ridiculous, man. I don't know what they thought they did with that, but
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah.
You ain't fooling nobody. You ain't fooling the blind man across the street. He can see too. I mean, let's move on to the next
Shout
topic
out
that we
to
have here.
Adam Silver.
Of course,
So
definitely.
the next topic we have here is reactions to J.R. Smith practically beating the shit out of somebody because they broke a window in his car.
I mean, listen, man. I saw the video. I didn't get to go in depth too much into why those events transpired, but I did see the video, and he beat him up pretty badly. I'll tell you that. I'm gonna beat him up like a rag doll. I could tell you that.
And
But go
I
ahead,
have
Kenny.
the little thing of like what happened. So he was on the J.R. Smith was on the Pat McAfee show on Monday, and he was talking about the whole thing. He said that he was home playing Call of Duty inside his home, and one of his former teammates, Jordan Clarkson, told him about the protests, and he urged JR to go outside. So after he goes outside, he sees that his truck got vandalized or is getting vandalized, and he just beat the shit out of the guy for doing
I
it.
mean, maybe it was that Call of Duty response. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just playing a game of Call of Duty. We all know how intense Call of Duty is, and maybe it was
Yeah.
his call to duty to go handle his duty. And he was like, "All
That's
right, bet. I got that adrenaline." You know what I'm saying? I was just literally shooting guys from overseas in the game, so let me just go ahead and use that same energy. And you know how the energy is. You know what I'm saying? So hey, that's what probably happened.
I mean, can you really blame the guy? Like if you went outside your house and you saw someone defacing and wrecking your car, you wouldn't get into an altercation? Like
I mean, you gotta like it's your property, man. Like they're like messing your shit up. Like you gotta mess them up. I mean, that's like they're on your property, destroying your property. You're there. What are you gonna do? You gonna stand there and watch? Like I don't know, man. It's not like he wants to call the cops. Like it's like the cops are all out anyway.
If he called the cops, who knows if J.O. Smith gonna make it home?
He might not make it home if he calls the cops. So you gotta take
Exactly.
matters
He's
in
the
your own
one
hands.
calling
You
the
do
cops.
it. Yeah, if you take matters in your own hands, you gotta do it, man. It's just whatever. He did what he had to do. I don't blame him.
yeah,
And that's
It's fine.
Go ahead, I don't care.
As as crazy JR may be, I support him 110. Dude,
You're
you
right
come
about that,
outside
crazy.
and you see your property getting destroyed, beat his ass. You might as well pay.
I think
These freeze frames are crazy, man.
Damn, it glitched
facts.
out.
These like glitch spams,
Yeah.
like these glitches, like it's
Yeah.
funny because
Yo,
I know
Cam,
like what he's saying.
Cam, if you can, after this is over, if you send Leel your version of the video just to make sure we get your full statement,
Okay.
because it's
Oh,
coming in
man.
and out a little
It's
bit.
like
Just make sure you
freezing
get
you
the
up.
full thing to Leel for sure.
I got you.
Definitely.
I'll-
But listen,
I'll
man,
make sure of that.
it's something with J.R. Smith and May 31st or whatever. Because if we don't remember, on May 31st was the year a couple years ago when LeBron James passed J.R. the ball and he just wasn't here. You remember in the finals when he was just like it's space cadet. That happened on May 31st, the same day this guy jumped this dude. So I don't know. I'm just gonna announce May 31st as J.R. Smith Day. It's a
I
holiday, ladies and
agree.
gentlemen.
Okay, I'm up
No
for
school.
it. I'm up for it.
Exactly. But
Seems
I think
good to me, man.
I think we pretty much had a good positive show today.
Yeah.
For this
Talk about
episode
what
of In the
matters,
Huddle. Definitely.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Some strong things said in this episode, and hopefully everybody enjoys. We're always gonna have the haters, so
Definitely. And we might lose some followers, because of our points today. But at the end of the day, brother,
Yeah.
if you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah. If we
you gotta
lose,
go.
Peace.
Sayonara.
That's what I would say. I'd be like, peace.
if we lose followers for what we said today, we didn't want them to begin with. So that's it.
The door is open. The door is open. And what we said offend you, the door is wide open. Like
Yes,
Martin Lawrence, get the stepping, my brother.
And
The
there you go.
marathon continues.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap, boys.
Good show. We'll definitely talk about it.
Definitely, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a new era in the huddle. WYGL Podcast. The Real Leel Show.